A lot of noise in the background. Hello, everyone. My name is Bobby Perry.
And I'm Brian.
On episode 5 of Two Perspectives podcast, we go into the topic that most people dread most, and that's life after college. Sometimes this can be exciting to look forward to, but does it live up to the hype? In this podcast episode, Brian and I will discuss some of the pros and cons of seeing if college helps you to prepare for quote unquote the real world. And let's not forget about Sallie Mae, because she'll be knocking on your door 6 months after you graduate. This episode is going to be great because both Brian and I have graduated from college, and we both have two perspectives on how we planned out our lives.
Mm,
So, Brian, what actually motivated you to go to college?
Nothing really motivated me to go to college. I just wanted to get a higher degree in the field that I love to do when I was in high school. So they told me you have to go college. No one was pressuring me into go. I mean, nobody was pressuring me to go to college. So I just went because I just wanted a higher standing of what I actually love to do.
I feel you. I know for me, it was very last minute. Um, this actually stemmed from me in the eighth grade. I was told that I would never get into college, and they didn't see it for me. Well, one of the teachers. And she basically tried to publicly humiliate me because I had dyslexia. And dyslexia is more than what the stigma is. Like I learned as I got older that one of the reasons why suffered harder when it came to reading was because I was nearsighted and farsighted in the other eye. And it takes a lot of concentration to the point where that I would get fatigued really easily.
Mhm.
And believe it or not, that actually motivated me to keep pushing more. And then I got my black belt, and that test was harder than anything. So I feel like different stages of my life helped me prepare for going to college. And I had a aha moment, we'll say around January, because all the deadlines were due February, I think,
Right.
between January and February. And I said, what would happen if I end up not wanting to pursue dance for the rest of my life? What if I get injured? What if I lose interest? Or what if I hit this high milestone where it's just like, what is my true calling?
Hmm.
So I applied to 20 schools in 1 month. Don't recommend, plan in advance if you're going to go. But I got into my top three schools, and I knew that I wanted to either pursue dance, business, or technology.
Hmm.
And luckily, I ended up going to a school that offered two of the majors, dance and business, and then you could take technology classes on the side. So that's how I got into college and picking the right school for me.
Right.
What ended up helping you choose your major? Like, what shaped you?
I would have to say my high school art teacher did it for me because back in high school, um, in the UK, we have this program where pretty much it's the most highest course you can take in high school, which was AP. Was it AP Art? And through the year, so once our grades were final, and because our grades actually got finalized in the UK, I was in the top 5% in getting because you had A star, then you had A, B, C, and so on and so forth. And I was in the top 5% with getting an A star in in my class. I had I beaten my what you call it? I beaten my my I beaten my classmate by 1 point, 1 point and getting to that top 5%. So that's what literally pushed me into going into college and going further with my art. So
I love that for you.
yeah. On the other hand, college is not for everybody. My
Hmm.
brother, my brother only lasted 1 semester. He went into college in August. He didn't even return after after Christmas. So college is not for everybody. And to this day, my brother is a top manager at his company. So college didn't do nothing for him, but he was his able to get up to those ranks in his company.
I love that. Disappointing that you don't have to go to college to find success in your field.
No.
I know for me personally, I was always studious, always on honor roll, having all A's and stuff like that, high honors. And I was a little bit of an overachiever.
Mhm.
And I realized for me that I am very structured at everything I do because I had a lot of things going on. Like my main focus was being a choreographer, being a dancer, and always being on stage, doing interviews, going to different states, going to different cities. And I thought it was essential that I found a school that was hybrid. Hybrid basically means that you can do your classes online and also in person.
Mhm.
So when I wasn't in the classroom, I would still get participation for attendance, of course, but being able to submit your stuff online, like say if we had a snowstorm, a tornado just come out of nowhere, which we don't really get, but just in case that occurred, they would say, "We're gonna cancel class. Just fill out this paper." Papers would only take me an hour or two and just like draft. We didn't have platforms like Grammarly back then,
Mhm.
and we had Macs, most of us. The school was kind of isolated. It was like the people that kind of had and the people that didn't have.
Mhm.
So it was kind of like a cult with people with the Apple products and everything not being compatible with Apple. So transferring everything into a PDF could be hard because your teacher can't edit or make changes, but they would just send you reports and stuff, and you're just trying to compromise the best way that you can. You can't fix your fragments. All you could do was like fix spelling, and that was about it.
Right.
But you literally had to be a good writer if you were going to use Pages. So I think not having that resource actually made me a stronger writer, and finding out that this business will actually help me refine all that and help out other people has give me like the more confidence that I needed that I didn't have when I was younger because all I knew was dance. I didn't know that I could be smart in everything and I could do possibly everything with help, of course, but I didn't have to do everything on my own.
Right.
When I got to college, what made you to think I was going to pursue 4 years instead of going to a community college if you have that in Bermuda?
Well, so in Bermuda, we it's a community college. So pretty much it's a 2 year college. However, depending on what major you're going to take, it can turn into 4 years. But mostly locals here in Bermuda, we go outside and travel to a college outside because it's not really it is a good college here, but it it's to me it felt like I just went back to high school instead of wearing a uniform because we wear uniforms here between primary school to high school. We were uniforms, but going to college here in Bermuda, it just felt like I was back in high school because it didn't really, how can I put it? challenge me enough per se. So I was kind of bored, but it was like I cruised through it. Like I don't even remember half the stuff I did in college. It was just that boring.
I have to think personally, for me, I felt like everything that I learned in college actually prepared me for what I do now. I'm one of the very few people that I can say that everything fell in line,
Mm.
like all the practical skills of writing business plans, writing grants, market research, looking at competitor markets, being a consultant for $1 million companies, working with small businesses, um, learning how to film ads, run campaigns. And keep in mind, I never used social media before my business.
Hmm.
Everyone's like, "Do you have MySpace, Facebook, and all that?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't use it." My friends used to get mad at me because they would be sending me messages all the time. And I'm like, I didn't get any of your message. I was like, did you send it on Facebook? They're like, yeah. I'm like, I don't use it. I only use it like 4 times a year. I'm telling you, that inbox was full.
Mm.
Um, but I knew if I was going to get into digital marketing, I had to slowly learn and adapt. I think it was a cultural change because most performers, especially growing up in the generation that I did, we didn't use social media.
Right.
Everything was word of mouth. People refer you to different programs. You teach here, you teach there. You perform at these different various locations. You do a lot of philanthropy work. Everything was like within the community,
Right.
and those referrals would go out. Um, like I said, my first platform using was YouTube. It's funny because when I was young, I used to watch Marquez Brownlee, I Justine, your average consumer, Phone Arena, Phone Scoop, and I would just be invested in learning about technology. And I remember having a conversation with my parents when I was about 8 or 10, and I was like, "You're gonna have to learn how to use a computer because everything's gonna get digitalized." And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," and see how everything has evolved. So I think I had to condition myself to be like, okay, I'm not gonna feel like I'm an expert at a field, but I'm gonna show my realistic lens of, okay, this is my first time going live. Okay, the comments are coming. How do I respond? Do I go in it right away or let the conversation develop? Start with an intro, figure out my identity, what is my brand recognition,
Hmm.
and then I started showing a little bit behind the scenes on Instagram, showing people that I am a real person because anyone can record a video, but is there a way that people can reach out to you and feel like they can shake your hand?
Right.
And that was the thing that was missing initially when it came to digital marketing. And I think it wasn't until I started doing the podcast where I felt like, okay, I'm onto something. I'm showcasing real businesses, real entrepreneurs, real artists who are established for 59 years, that we have started from the basics. We still go to rehearsals every single day if we need to. We spend those long hours rehearsing and mastering our craft. And these are the tools that we use to move forward. Because everyone thinks, let me go viral on YouTube. That's going to solve all my problems.
Well, it happens to some people.
I don't think it solves their problem. It just puts a void in the reality for temporarily.
Mm.
But eventually, everything that has its peak goes down.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's like, who can I think of? Well, think of Tyler Perry. He always has to work at a higher standard than
Mm.
everyone else because of how his upbringing is, how he always delivers, how he executes.
Right.
We did talk about in a webinar presentation about micromanaging and being an autocratic leader, democratic leader, laissez-faire type of leader.
Right.
And he's working hard to find balance in it all. He knows every single line, he knows every single lighting cue, he knows every single scene, inside and out. But him realizing that he doesn't have to be in every single movie shows a lot of growth.
Yep.
I'll just leave it at that, but I think he's a great example. Do you feel like there were some pioneers that helped you get into art or want to pursue art as a career in school?
Um, well, I mm, yes and no. And the fact is, as a kid, I was really into museums and old structures like buildings. So, and but then when I got into art, especially in high school, yes, I have to say there was a few like Andy Warhol was like my number one favorite artist, hands down. I love how he did his artwork. So
What kind of art do you think he produced?
like pop art, like
Mhm.
look graffiti-ish, but it's not graffiti. It was like art, like masterpieces. So and I even have one of his paintings literally tattooed on my leg. So yeah.
I think what's interesting about art is that it's so abstract. Like my medium is dance and theater and film production. I'm really good at creating scenes and making everything theme related. But when it came to drawing, I'm like, let me work with a stick figure. And then
Hmm.
I took an art class and I slowly got better. But I think I'm hands-on when it comes to telling people what I want and picking out the right fabrics. So it comes like my artistry is more of like someone else has to build the structure and the foundation while I suggest ideas and give people, input here and there. But that's just my perception. So we're gonna go into the next part where we're talking about the amount of time that you put in to find a successful career. So we were having a discussion off camera and we were just talking about what are some of the long-term and short-term goals that people should have in mind when going to school and then breaking out into graduating?
Make sure you choose the right career
Hmm.
because I wanted to be like in design, but after college, trying to find work in the field I graduated from, I believe it was difficult, maybe because of where I live. That could be one, which was difficult. Case in point, I had 5 interviews for 5 different art companies here, and I did not get not one job from it, even though I was literally fresh out of college, still got the knowledge in my head. So it's not like I waited a while before to find a job. No, literally straight out of college, try to find one, couldn't find one. So it came to the point, whereas on my last interview, I had to ask questions like, why this they're saying that you need experience, and I'm trying to figure out how am I supposed to get the experience if nobody's going to hire me, even though I'm literally fresh out of college. So, but luckily I had a backup plan where I grew up in hospitality, so I just pretty much went to that. But I still do art now and again, but it's not like I do it every day because I don't know. I think I just lost the passion for it because of what happened, but I still do it. Now I've gone into digital art because everything's pretty much on iPads or computers. So I have a I have an iPad with an Apple Pencil, so I still do my art like that. So I still do it. It's just not as much as I did when I was in college.
That's a good perception. I think for me, it varies because professionally, I could move anywhere, especially in New York, because that was my main focus. Um, all my teachers were saying, go to New York because you have the personality for it and you have the strong work ethic.
Hmm.
And I think it would be a change in environment from here because in Boston, Massachusetts, um, people are not really that supportive. And when people actually make it, they don't even say that they're from Boston. They say that they're from that new state that they're in. I don't know why, but that's what it tends to be. And then when that hiatus happens, like when we're talking about the people going viral, we notice when people come back to Boston, it's because something didn't work out, and they just came up with some excuse saying, "Oh, the environment wasn't for me. Life is just great. I'm making a whole lot of money. I'm doing this and that. Yeah. And then word on the street is that, this person lost everything. So it's hard to believe the facades that people are living within the reality. Not saying that everyone from Boston is like that, but this is what I have observed. And it's kind of hard to translate because we look at people with all these large followings, we think they're making a lot of money, but sadly, some platforms pay more than others.
Hmm.
Certain niches get paid more than others. Some people have brand deals, some people have AdSense. There's so many different ways that people are making money. Like, I'm not making money off of YouTube itself or on Instagram, but I have to create my own products, or brands will reach out to me and say, we're going to pay you this flat fee if you promote this, or if you make so many sales this month, we'll give you a commission maybe the next month
Right.
based off of the performance and how many subscribers you got um, to purchase the product that you're using. So, it can be very difficult. I think if I just stayed in the realm of dance, acting, and film, I would have found more success.
Right.
But I felt that I wanted to learn traditional work because what if something happens, like quote unquote the pandemic?
Hmm.
So the degree actually came in mind.
There you
It
go.
made me career proof. So it gave me a wall of, okay, I can balance in retail, I can work in healthcare, I can do all these things, and then have my business that I was working full time on the side, kind of like do that follicle point. And then there was a point where I had lost my job due to the pandemic,
Right.
and that just confirmed I definitely need to start this business right away. I can't wait any longer. I had a lot of technical issues, the computer wasn't working, this and that, and I'm like, how am I supposed to make any money? Launched the business 2 months later, and I guess timing worked out when it was supposed to
Right.
because people were very supportive. They were like, instead of doing this for free, we want to pay you. And then people were just giving me different rates, and they're like, okay, we don't feel comfortable paying you this low fee that you're asking us for. We want to pay like $100,
Hmm.
you know? And it gave me reassurance that I was doing the right thing, and less people were bailing out because they paid in advance, and then I helping them build their audience with a new audience. Their stories are being told, you know.
Right.
I feel that everyone's path will be different. Everyone looks at whoever their role model is or whoever their mentor is going to be and think they're going to have the same amount of success, but everybody was born in a different time period. Those resources may not be here anymore. And that's why that people should invest in their futures ahead of time.
Oh yeah. You should at least know what you want to do in life by your third year in high school. At least start planning what you want to do in life by your third year of high school. So in your fourth year of high school, before you graduate,
But there's some people who don't like to plan.
mm, that's okay. Sometimes you don't have to plan. You just have to pretty much try to figure out what you want to do, and then
Mhm,
obviously in your last year of high school, at least use that last year to do research, figure out what you want to do, then and then go from there. However,
mhm,
some people do thrive on taking a gap year. So between high school and college, just take a year off to have a focus on getting a job because maybe the job that you get between your gap year may be the career that you would love to do. But however, also in the same breath, try to at least get a degree to for something to fall back on, just in case anything, like another pandemic. For instance, like for you,
mhm.
that you decided to finally do your business when the pandemic happened. No, you should have done it before the pandemic happened.
Yeah, I think one of the most inspirational stories that I heard was from a guy that was teaching a keynote presentation at my school, and he was talking about how he did a work year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Everyone's like, "What is a work year? What is a work year?" And that is when, well, his goal was to work in all 50 states in 1 year.
Right.
So there were certain jobs that he was holding for maybe 3 days to like maybe a week because it's only 52 weeks in the year. But every state he would have to do an occupation that the state would be known for
Right.
and something different. He was a garbage man, he was a fireman, he was a police officer, he was a consultant, he was a film director. He just did all these different things that he may not had a lot of skills in, but they but articles kept mentioning his name over and over, and they're just like, okay, help us understand what is this work year. We want to donate money to help you sustain your living because
Mm-hmm.
just imagine you might be making a lot of money from one job, but you're only working for a couple of days.
Right.
And then you have to go into the next job that could be paying a lot less. And then you got to pay for food, hotels, all these different things.
Right.
And then you have to factor in you might have your kids, all these different moving parts. But they were probably with their mother during that year while he took the year to do all these things that he was interested in. And he just realized that he had a more appreciation for all the things that people do
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of labor jobs that most Americans won't do, like being a janitor, um, doing picking up garbage, cleaning houses. We always think of like the Mexicans just stereotyping. Just using that as an example, people talk a lot of trash about them, but they're the first ones to actually go out and do the work.
Right.
And that's why they're making so much money. They're trying to find ways to move their families over here and have a sustainable living and also figure out ways to create generational wealth
Yep.
so their future kids, when they have kids in America, they can adapt and they don't have to worry about being sent back home from where they came from.
Right.
So life is about future proofing yourself and also learning to adapt with different situations. Because sometimes we're not going to have those high paying jobs. Everyone wanted to get a tech job working for Google, Microsoft, Facebook, but look at all those jobs that are getting laid off.
Yep.
Are people getting paid too much than what they're actually working for? Do we justify that we need a big team for everything? Or are we going to give it to AI?
Mm.
Sorry to say, but artificial technology is taking over and it's working aggressively.
Slowly but surely.
hmm So I would like to break into our sponsor, the Artistic Creator Academy. In this platform, you're able to find courses that you can help you start your business, learn mindset shifts, learn how to write, and also apply for financial assistance, whether it's grants for your business or for yourself. I'm currently selling a course called How to Become a Successful Writer for 2 weeks. And basically, in that course, you're learning the fundamentals of how to turn your ideas onto paper, or whether you're trying to create that business plan, your grants, learning how to sell a pitch. Writing is very essential for many business owners, no matter if you're a content creator, artist, a choreographer, everything that you do refers back to that business plan and how you write. It doesn't matter about your grammar, it doesn't matter about where you come from, because everybody can learn from those experiences. And I'll put the link to that course down in the description below. Definitely take advantage of it because it's filled with so much information and there's so many resources that I'm giving you promotional offers to. So move quickly because, like I said, the course is not going to be available after these 2 weeks that I'm airing it right now. So keep note, and we're going to continue on with this conversation about moving on to transitioning out of college and finding out what you need for the real world. So the next portion of this segment, we're going to talk about our experiences that are transferable to the real world. So, do you feel like there were like specific courses that you signed up for that help pivot your career as an artist, or do you feel like that's something that you're leaving in the past?
I'm leaving in the past.
Hmm.
I ain't got. I'm not dwelling on nobody's past. College is. Hold on. When did I graduate from college? 2009. It is now 2025. No, I'm good. It's been 20 years since college. No, I am perfectly fine.
Yeah, it hasn't been that long for me, but
Yeah. Oh crap! Has it been 20 years? No, since I've been out of
a
college.
long time.
I'm old.
I feel that a lot of things have fallen into place for me, whether or not it generates a lot of money or not. But I feel like learning how to be organized, being punctual, having attention to detail, learning how to communicate non-verbally versus verbally, because I'm an introvert, and sometimes we come off aggressive towards people because we don't use our words to communicate. We usually use our actions. Um, Critical thinking and being able to respond to certain situations.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of classes have helped me prepare for that. Like there might be classes that you may dread, but they might come back like math, science,
Yeah.
art, music. All these different things help you become an effective communicator.
Hmm.
And I think when I designed the Artistic Creator Academy, I just thought, how do I take my empty 9 years of performing arts and make it into real practical skills?
Right.
Because we look at the world through a holistic lens and not just through a surface level. We may be playing out a scene, but we're actually doing the due diligence of research. And I feel like my business classes really helped me out with that. I think my performing arts classes helped me out with that. It gave me confidence to be in front of the camera because it was very awkward for me. I didn't have really good eye contact. I was stumbling with my words. I didn't know how to, well, I already knew how to edit, but I didn't know what were like action words to keep people engaged.
Right.
Like having conversations with them, even though that they're just watching these videos. Do you feel like having a mentor has helped you, or do you feel like you never had one?
Never had one. I did everything on my end. I was mostly independent. So
Do you feel like having a mentor would help you?
probably would have helped me very tremendously, but I can't really speak on that because I never had one.
Um,
Maybe
I
in high
feel
school I did. because of my
You said
art
what?
teacher. Maybe in high school I did because of my art teacher, but college, no. Pretty much did everything on my own.
I feel like for me, it was really hard to depend on people. People preach all the time about having accountability partners. It never worked out. I think
Mm,
the longest that I had an accountability partner was a month because they were stressed out because they were starting a business, and I'm like, that was the main purpose of us forming this group.
right,
Well, we all have similar businesses, and we were trying to organize our thoughts so we could translate it to our audience, whether it's the way that we're communicating through our writing, growing on social media. It just requires a lot of patience. And I feel like people don't like to work. People are looking for easy ways out of, okay, I'm gonna work with this person because they have a big following. Maybe that will translate to me.
right.
No, because you're a different person and you have a different audience and different interests.
Mm,
So I don't know. It never worked out for me. Mentors, people think they're free, but you gotta pay for most of them.
yeah.
Um, I'll take advice when I go to like a presentation and see what really applies to me. But other than that, I don't think people should go to YouTube for advice for everything because a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. But that's just my perception.
No, I understand.
Did you join any clubs or organizations that help you prepare for the real world?
No. I didn't join no clubs. I didn't join not a thing.
I was on in business club, investment club. I think what was most exciting about investment club is that we looked at other companies and see how they performed.
Hmm.
We got to understand stocks through a different lens, and it really got me into investing. Um, Whether I want to be an angel investor, a philanthropist, or even deep dive into my own projects,
Right.
I felt like it gives us an opportunity to see like what works and what doesn't work and see like how their competitors kind of throw certain things off. Like we have what's big right now, PlayStation versus Nintendo versus Xbox. Just like in that last podcast that we were talking about. Like, is everyone gonna switch over to what do you call those handheld consoles? Is that what it's called?
You mean an alley or Steam Deck?
Yeah, everyone's turning into just not like the sit down to portable consoles.
Hmm.
That's the word I'm looking for. Um, Everyone's starting to experiment with that and see what worked for Nintendo. Like, I think Steam Deck you can play cross platforms, but the only catch is that you have to download
Oh
the
no,
files, right?
no, Steam Deck is pretty much PC games. You may get a few PlayStation games like the AAA titles, some of them, but it's mostly for like PC games. And then obviously you can get the Steam app on the Steam because you can play also the Steam app on PC. But now they're
Yeah.
coming out with one with Xbox. So Xbox and Steam got together, so now you can play Xbox games and PC games on a console. So
See what I mean? It's a lot of collaboration, a lot of research. Like I
mhm,
said, people don't want to take the time to do homework. Just because you graduated from school does not mean that the homework does not stop.
yeah,
You should keep practicing your skills and then see how everything starts applying.
yeah,
I think people just focus on just the moment right now, but you should always plan for your future. Whether or not I know that you guys enjoyed this conversation that we both had, but we're both from two different countries. We both went to two different schools. He went to a community college. I went to a school that had a master's program. Um, it's so different.
Mhm.
And I don't want people to think that money is going to hold you back. We know school's expensive, but don't let that be the deciding factor on if you're going to go to a community college or not go to school.
Right.
It should be more focused on, does your career require you to have that degree? Here's some homework for you guys. Write down 10 skills that you're good at. Write down 10 things that you're not good at. Pick at the pick the top 3 from both lists. You have that list of things that you don't want to do, so that should be easy. You have 3 things that you want to do, so that could be your 3 degrees, that could be your 3 occupations that you want to pursue. See what is our requirement, see who has been successful in that niche,
Mm.
and find out people that look similar to you or have same experiences as you to make your decision on if you're going to go forward. Life decisions shouldn't be based off of what other people think you should be. You
Right.
should be focusing on yourself because you're the one that's paying the money. Unless if they're giving you the top dollar, paying 100%, they don't have no right to your opinion. Okay. So yeah, I really love this conversation that we're having, and I hope people in the comments um leave some responses of, did college prepare you for what's next? What's your action plan to pay off Sallie Mae?
Hmm.
And just think about your long term and your short term goals. And just make a list. Like I said, make that list and start from there. So, yeah, I think we'll end off right here. Do you have any other talking points or where?
Well, for the people that are watching, if you do go to college, make sure you pick a course that you're passionate about, and to make sure that when you do graduate from college or university or community college, make sure you can use that degree in the field that you went to college for. Because there's a lot, like, not I wouldn't even say a lot. Most, depending on what career you want, some careers you don't even need a college degree as long as you have the work skills, because that's what's happening here in my country at some point, where your experience in the field is more than a degree. You can prove me wrong. I'm not saying that it's true. I'm just saying from my experience that I've noticed some people that don't have degrees are much better than the people that do have degrees. So just pick something that you're passionate about.
And please keep in mind when you're working with accountants, make sure that they have a bachelor's degree. If you're working with a doctor and he's about to do some operation, make sure he got his doctorate degree.
Pretty much.
Pick your poison. Be smart. Do your research. See all these degrees and all these milestones. You want to see an office like that, okay?
And no, I have none.
Don't work with him. I'm just kidding.
Hey, you're working with me now.
He had the experience. See what I mean? It works out. All right. So you can follow me on YouTube, B Perry Films Experience. Same thing on Substack, B Perry Films Experience. TikTok and Instagram, B Perry Films, and LinkedIn, Bobby O. Perry.
And you can follow me or search me up on TikTok on Koigo12, or you can look me up on Instagram at the Simmons Boy.
All right. Thank you guys.